Sego Sewagwego, and welcome to FNTV Live. I'm standing out here today with Chief Carl Horn of the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake, and we're going to be discussing the Mohawk Council's decision to possibly get into the marijuana industry. So, Carl, let's just talk a little bit about obviously, Canada had announced, Justin Trudeau had announced this year that Canada was looking to legalize marijuana here in Canada, whether it was recreational or medicinal use. But was this decision by the Mohawk Council to start looking into the possibility of getting into the industry, does it come on the tail of Canada's announcement to try to legalize pot in Canada?
Yeah, definitely. It's running definitely parallel with Canada's announcement and intention to to legalize marijuana, possibly in the year 2018. It's no secret that MCK's interest, but I just want to make it clear here today that I'm giving my opinion as a community member, as a father and uncle here in the community, and not as a representative of the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. There'll be a time and place for that down the road to give my official opinion on it. So, it's obvious that there's some intention to explore the possibility. Right now, it's the initial phases of consultation with community. There's going to be some sort of plan announced in the coming weeks. Right. There's already been a cannabis working group that's been established. Right, I'm not part of it. It's no secret that it's something that they're gonna explore. It's been mentioned at a community meeting, as well as local media has done a story on it. I think it was about a month in the past. So
there was no major announcement. There was no announcement to the community via press release or anything like that this was happening.
No, it was just really mentioned in passing as an official agenda item at our last community meeting. Okay. And there was really no official announcement to community. And obviously my position on drugs in the community, I have an opinion on it, and I was asked by one of the local medias, and I'll give my opinion on it for sure. I'm not in support of it. I never will be. I have concerns. We already have drug issues in our community, and this is just going to make it worse, especially for our youth.
Mm-hmm. I think that goes back to years ago when you were even championing the zero tolerance policy here in Kahnawake. Do you feel that if the Mohawk Council decides to move on getting into the marijuana industry, does that cancel out that stance on zero drugs in Kahnawake?
Well, you're right. Currently, there's a zero tolerance in the community. Even the peacekeepers use that when they go to court for drug-related offenses. They sort of use that. There's a zero tolerance in the community, and the judge considers that when he's, thinking about a sentence or a fine or whether or that. But yeah, there's a zero tolerance, and if we're going to use community dollars to get involved in the marijuana industry, what does that say exactly about that zero tolerance? And again, what type of message are we sending to our youth, especially our younger generation?
Some would argue that getting into medicinal or medical marijuana could be a lucrative business for First Nations communities to be the ones that set that precedent, but also the control of drugs in the community, the control of recreational use and permits and such. What do you think about that?
Well, let's make it clear. I really don't have no issue with the medicinal part of it. I know there's community members currently who have prescriptions for it and need it for their various ailments. Mm-hmm. But let's make no secret about it. Medicinal leads to recreational. I can guarantee that. That's exactly what, whether it be this community or other communities, they're just using the medicinal part of it to get into the actual recreational. So that's what I have a concern with. It's it's fine. You can try and regulate it, but it just sends a wrong message. Okay, you're over 18. You're allowed to walk down the street and smoke it. I understand that it's currently being done now, but it's illegal, and the police will handle it. But if just because Canada makes something legal, we don't have to do it here. We're a sovereign people. We have our own laws and we have our own ways, and it should remain zero tolerance for sure.
And I understand that this is very preliminary, that they're exploring the idea. But do you feel that this type of decision should rest with the people? Do you think that if the Mohawk Council says, yes, we're coming back and saying that this could be a business that we want to venture into, that it should go to some sort of vote or community referendum?
Well, for sure, community has to have a say. I right from day one when it was talked about, and there has been discussions at the council table, and right from day one I said community consultation is key. We're not going to spend $1 of community dollars on something that community doesn't want us to. So especially something of this nature, it's going to be very controversial. There's some people that are for it, and there's going to be some people that are against it. And I'm only one voice, one opinion at the table, and I'm only one voice, one opinion in the community. Like I said earlier, I'm here talking as a father and uncle, and not an elected MCK chief. But there'll be a time and place down the road where I'll give an official my official standpoint on it as an elected council member. But here today, my opinion is based on being a father and an uncle here in the community.
I mean, you can be both. Obviously, the people that vote you in expect you to do due diligence on their behalf. But in terms of where the council table sits on this issue, can you give us any details on some of the discussion that was had? Did most of the table come to consensus on this issue to start exploring?
Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody. You'll have a time and place to do that. But right now, it's very preliminary, like you said earlier, and they're just going to be starting consultation with community. What that entails, I don't know. That's that'll be determined in a short time. Like I said earlier, there's already a cannabis working group that's been formed, and they're going to be doing community consultation. Like I said, to what extent, I don't know. It's still very preliminary.
What would be your main concern with getting into the marijuana industry? Obviously
health. I mean, that's the biggest thing, especially for our youth. What type of message are we going to send to our kids that, okay, well, once you're 18, it's legal, and just smoke it in moderation? That's the wrong message that we're sending to our children. And, it's definitely a health risk. I mean, just probably a year ago, which I was in support of, we did a blue light campaign in the community about smoke-free establishments, and now we're going to push for this. It just sends the wrong message. I mean, what's next? Green light campaign. I'm just frustrated because right from day one, my experience as a peacekeeper and now sitting at the council, right from day one, everybody knows my stance on drugs. The community should remain zero tolerance, and we should even take it a step further and implement banishment.
Is there anything else you feel is important to add, Carl?
No, I'm sure we'll have more discussion on it at a later date once the consultation phase is ongoing, and I'm definitely going to give my opinion on it and voice against it for sure.
Well, thank you. And I'm sure the issue is far from over. Obviously, as you heard Chief Horn say, that the Mohawk Council is very early in the preliminary stages, looking into exploring the opportunity of the marijuana industry. And we'd love to hear from you. If you're tuning in, drop us a line in our inbox, or even comment right there on the news feed. But I'm Regan Jacobs reporting here live today outside our FNTV studios in Kahnawake. Onigiwahi.